Drop me nuts, JoJo. There it is. Okay. All right, you need to write your names on those. This is what you're going to be taking your notes on today. Okay, so this kind of limits your writing a little bit. All right, so from your pre-assessment that you took, there were 3 ancient civilizations that we talked about, or that you saw in your pre-assessment. Anybody name one of them, a couple of them? Give me one.
Incas.
The Incas, Nick?
Mayans.
The Mayans, and the Aztecs. So that's kind of what we're going to start with today. Now, the reason that we're going to talk about these is really the Europeans' relationship with them kind of shaped what we see today when we talk about South America, Mexico, Central America. So you do not need to get this slide down. This is just kind of labeling what we'll talk about. So these 3 groups, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the Incas, you need to flip that sheet over. So these first 2, the Mayas and the Aztecs, they are located in an area called Mesoamerica. You need to get this slide down. Then once you get this slide down, you can flip it back over. You'll see. You'll see. So Mesoamerica includes Mexico and Central America. Now we have talked about the regions of Latin America. Mexico and Central America are 2 of them. What are the other 2? Give me one. South America and the Caribbean. Okay, so 2 of these ancient civilizations are in Mesoamerica. So that first one that we will talk about are the Mayans. The Mayans, so they are located in Mesoamerica. Give you about 10 or so more seconds. So the Incas, or the Incas, does anybody know where they were located from that pre-assessment? Since the Aztecs and the Mayans were located in Mesoamerica. Anybody? Anybody? No, we'll get there. All right. So this first slide. So we're going to talk about the Mayans. So flip over. So this is where you're going to fill these in the boxes. So that first box, it says, where were they located? Right there, you're going to write that they were located in the Yucatan Peninsula. Does anybody know what famous spring break or vacation spot is on the Yucatan Peninsula? Has anybody ever heard of Cancun? Yeah. Is that what you're going to say? So this kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. So you have, this is located in Central America. For that spot where it says government, you need to know that the Mayans were city-states. And we will talk about what a city-state is. Does everybody see these little red dots? Yes. Right, so this whole yellow area, that is the Mayan civilization. These red dots are all different cities. Now it says right here that they did not have an overall ruler. But this red dot had a ruler. This red dot had a ruler. And it just controlled that city. There was no overall ruler that controlled the whole civilization. Now they did have an alliance. That alliance was, say, a European country came and attacked that city-state right there. What do you think these guys had to do?
Help.
Right, help. So if one of them fell into trouble, all of them were united under, that Mayan civilization. Okay, so that was pretty much, they traded with each other. They did interact, but for the most part, the main alliance was military. Okay. All right, so this will kind of be under religion. All of these civilizations that we'll talk about, they participate in human sacrifice. It says the Mayans practiced bloodletting. Does anybody know what that is?
That way, like, cut the person and bleed it out.
But not necessarily bleed out, but to worship their gods, they would pierce themselves, cut themselves, the blood dripping into the ground. That was kind of their way to give their gods energy. Now, I talked about piercing. They pierced all body parts. So even the ones that shouldn't be pierced, they pierced them. Okay? So they were polytheistic. What does polytheistic mean?
More than one God.
More than one God. You need to know what that means. And actually, all of these civilizations were polytheistic. Anybody know what type of God they had? Who did they worship?
Sundown?
Sun. What? Rain. What's important for sun and rain? Crops. Feeding your livestock. Remember, there's animal domestication, agriculture. This last bullet, they built elaborate temples, kind of like the one that you see on the bottom of your graphic organizer there. This is where sacrifice, human sacrifice, would take place. This is where, just overall religious ceremonies, everything would take place in these temples. Is everybody good with this one? Filling in that religion box. All right, so here's just a picture that should look very familiar. On the bottom of your graphic organizer, it's just a little wider. So this is, I think Mr. Goller, he's gone to the Yucatan Peninsula. He's seen a lot of these civilizations. These things still exist today. This is actually a major tourist attraction in these regions. So that is one way that helps these places economically today, is by people coming and seeing these ancient artifacts. All right, so what happened to them? A lot of archaeologists, they don't really know what happened to the Mayans, but who do you think they probably came across eventually? Huh? What did you? Well, Europeans in general. So you have English, Portuguese, Spanish. So eventually they probably came across some Europeans that were coming into their lands. Europeans, even if they treated them nicely, what did they bring with them?
Smallpox.
Smallpox. You do.
Mr. Rock,
Yeah.
is anyone at?
Dylan Couch.
Thank you.
So today, there are Mayan descendants, still over 2 million of them, so their population wasn't completely wiped out like we'll talk about with the Incas and the Aztecs. All right, so what you're going to do, take about a minute. If you don't think that you have one, or if you don't think you have one complete, talk with your people around you, see if you can fill in that box a little bit more, especially where it's located. Where it's located, you need to have Mesoamerica in there, not just the Yucatan Peninsula, because maybe a lot of you don't know where the Yucatan Peninsula is. So make sure you have those boxes completely filled out to where when you go back and study this, you know what you're talking about or know what you're looking at. Yeah. So that last part, it said the decline of the empire. Archaeologists really don't know. But, because they really don't know because there are still descendants, a lot of descendants today from the Mayans. So that next one will be a lot more, the next two will be a lot more clear on why the empires fell. What do you got?
Also asked about for religious life for the Aztec.
We'll talk about it. Alright? Alright, so moving on. The Aztecs. Mexico City, which is the second largest city in the world, which was on your pre-assessment, is located in, the Aztecs, their capital was Mexico City. Back then it was called Tenochtitlan. You guys will not need to know what their capital was. Okay, so it was present-day Mexico City. That last bullet, they did practice sacrifice as a part of their religion. They built large temples just like the Mayans. The Mayans and the Aztecs were not that far apart from each other. That's why you see a lot of the same cultural aspects. All right, so their capital city. Their capital city was built in the middle of a lake. Why would they build it in the middle of a lake?
Because in enemy force coming, we had to go through the water.
Right, so they did have these walkways, but it's hard to attack over water. So they built this city, their capital city, in the middle of Lake Texcoco. So that is just a map kind of showing you the difference. And you don't have this capital built on land. It is built in the middle of water. This is what it would have looked like just based upon the ruins. So a pretty elaborate city. This is not just some huts. These are buildings. There's pyramids. There's centers for sacrifice, worshiping their gods. So it was a lot more elaborate, even though it is an ancient civilization. All right, so their government. They did have a supreme ruler. Unlike the Mayans, remember they were city-states, they didn't have a supreme ruler. The Aztecs did. The Aztecs were very violent people. And that's why they were not well liked by the people that surrounded them. This emperor, his main job was to lead them in war. The people that he conquered, they had to pay tribute. What type of payment